New York, WWE and WWF is known for being the New Yorkers. When Vince had the territory, they didn't call it Northeast, they called it New York because that's how relevant the territory was for pro wrestling. Nowadays, guys, we only have Damian Priest, who is from New York City, who is listed as being from New York City, and they don't market him as the hometown hero. They don't market Damian Priest at all. We had Selena Vega, who also is from New York City, but they don't market her at all either. And now, when you have a hometown hero, you sell the arena out. Even if it's just that particular town, when you have hometown heroes, it adds extra storylines. So now if you created a hometown hero from New York that's from the Bronx, and then you have another character on your roster that's from another part of New York, let's say from Brooklyn. When you was in Barclay or when you were in Madison Square Garden, do you know the amount of fan participation and fan support you're gonna have on that date? Because you're gonna have people from all over. Because remember, New York is divided by 5 boroughs, guys. You see how you add an extra storyline when you put that on these characters, when you put the hometown hero stigma on them. Now, I came up with this idea because, a little bit jealous. I've watched wrestling for about, I want to say 35 years now. And I see how important it is for a character to have fan participation, to have the support from the fans, especially his hometown. So let's look at some people that benefited from being the hometown hero. We could start with Jerry Lawler, and we know he reigned over Memphis for quite some time. So when you mention Memphis and wrestling, you're gonna think of Jerry Lawler. Now I just mentioned CM Punk and Chicago. You see it, guys. Chicago sells out. All you gotta do is put CM Punk, book CM Punk, and Chicago gonna sell out. When he came back at the Survivor Series in that Chicago arena, man, you guys heard the pop. You guys, only a hometown favorite, only a hometown hero can get that type of a pop. Roddy Piper, guys, legendary Hall of Famer Roddy Piper. He was synonymous with Portland. Him being from Oregon, he was synonymous with Portland wrestling. So when you mention Portland, the first person you think of is the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper, guys. We all know Trish Stratus. She is one of Canada's hometown girls. She's her home. When you can't mention a female in Canada without thinking about Trish Stratus, and do you see how that just adds more depth to her character? The Canadian bombshell, you know what I mean? She always get a huge pop in Canada. Next, guys, we got John Cena. And when we had Sasha Banks, now known as Mercedes Moné, we all knew they were from Boston. Whenever they went to Boston, they got a huge pop. John Cena was getting booed up and down America, but when he went to Boston, he had a pop. And that's hard for me to say being a New Yorker, and I'm a Yankees fan. So, oh man, Boston. Guys, we did have Cactus Jack. We had Mick Foley as one of our New York representatives, our hometown heroes, but we didn't play on it as much as we should have. We would have played on this, I think it would have extended Cactus Jack, Mankind, Mick Foley, whatever you want to call him, it would have extended his career. We didn't play on this enough. We did not. And Cactus Jack is probably going to be one of our most famous New Yorkers to ever do it. He won the world championship, but we still never put the city on his back. We never put the city on his back, guys. For a lot of y'all might have thought he was from Texas, because in his earlier character, he played a wild Texas boy, a wild gunslinger from Texas. We know about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, guys. They are loved in Montreal. Whenever we go to Canada, especially Montreal, them guys get a huge pop, whether they're playing their face character or they're playing their heel character. We know how Calgary, Alberta, Canada treated Bret Hart. Bret Hart was one of the first characters to actually play a heel in the United States, and then he was a face in Canada because he was over as a hometown hero. Now, MJF, he is the closest thing we have, but he's not in WWE. He is in AEW, and he reps Long Island. Long Island technically is not New York City, but it is in New York, a part of New York State. And too bad we don't have MJF in WWE, where it's more eyes on the product and the pops is huge and the pops is bigger, because I would definitely put the New York hometown heroes stamp on him. This guy is box office. MJF is box office. If he leave AEW is done. They done. And guys, we know that Texas was loved by the Von Erichs. You can't go to Texas and not show love to the Von Erichs. You might see the Von Erichs everywhere you go around Texas, especially when it comes to the wrestling. But this is how powerful being hometown heroes are, guys. This is how powerful it makes the character. And now those are just some characters, guys, that had the city, had the town, had the state on their back, and it helped elevate their character, their overall character, and the love that the fans, the endearment that the fans showed those characters. It's all about investing into the characters. The characters that can get the most fans to invest into them are going to be the characters that get over. Now let's take a look at 9 wrestlers that are currently coming from New York City. In no particular order, let's start with most current. Nowadays, we have Damian Priest, like I told you guys. Out of the current crop of New Yorkers currently in the ring, the Archer of Infamy is leading a pack that includes Dalton Castle and MJF. He already has mastered the art of being effortlessly cool. In the ring, the guy has mastered the art of being a bigger man and still gaining sympathy as he sells a beatdown that can be considered a lost art in some circles. After getting a quick rub from teaming up with Bad Bunny, it's only a matter of time before Priest is on top. And next up, guys, we got Chris Kanyon. There's a reason the answer to who's better than Kanyon is nobody. It's because Champagne Chris Kanyon was wildly ahead of his time in the ring. Buddy Murphy might refer to himself as the best kept secret, but Kanyon was the epitome of that in WCW, even becoming the MVP of the Alliance. Nearly every match the Queens native had was a different as the borough he hailed from. Kanyon always tried to pull off some new innovative moves every match. Next, guys, we got Beth Phoenix, and this was a surprise to me. I did not know that. A trailblazer in every sense of the word, Buffalo's native, Beth Phoenix got her start in the days of the much mangalied Divas division. Clearly ahead of her time, she was able to be one of the stable rocks in the foundation of this era of divas and inspired the next. Plus, she was only 40 now. Perhaps a full-fledged return can happen one day instead of just memorable Royal Rumble cameos and the odd tag team match here and there. And I don't think that's gonna happen, guys, because you know she is married to Edge, good old Cope over there in AEW, and I don't see that happening. But next, guys, we got Taz, the suplex machine. This was Brock Lesnar before Brock Lesnar was Brock Lesnar. Suplex City before Suplex City was Suplex City. Perhaps the contribution of Taz will be overlooked as time passes on, but before the likes of both real and kayfabe shoot fighting began coming to the ring in droves, Taz was one of, if not the first of a new generation. For years, being a technical star or a brutally brawler made up most of the two kinds of wrestling characters out there, other than the high flyers. But Taz was able to be the hybrid of both and was able to become a legend of sort all over the northeastern seaboard. Next, guys, we got Matt Cardona, the independent superstar. This is the independent MVP, guys, of 2024. Trained by fellow New Yorker Mickey Rip Rap, Matt Cardona wanted so much more out of his WWE career, but it certainly wasn't for lack of his trying that he wasn't able to achieve his goal. He remains the prime example of how to get over huge by leveraging social media. For years, he had his own internet show, and little by little, fans chanting, "We want Ryder," all over arenas. He should be championed for his unique ability to get over despite WWE not wanting him to. That's a fact. Next, guys, we got Tommy Dreamer, ECW's own. There's a reason that Tommy Dreamer still gets smattering of cheers of EC-Dub for nearly a decade. He was the heart and soul of the original ECW promotion. Dreamer has always been a champion of hardcore wrestling no matter which promotion he is a part of. In honor of the old ECW wrestling school, Dreamer opened up his own house of hardcore wrestling promotion. The innovator of violence has also become one of the most trusted agents and was known for some of the most memorable feuds and moments of the 90s. Salute and rest in peace. Next, Brody Lee, guys. There probably isn't a wrestling fan alive today that doesn't realize how good Brody Lee was. For fans, the unfortunate thing about his untimely demise is that we were all finally getting to see a promotion realize his true potential. The Rochester native spent years on the indies before getting signed as Luke Harper, but after playing second fiddle for a little over 5 years, he was getting to really flex his muscle as the Exalted One in AEW, where he decimated Cody and then had a match of the year contender with Jon Moxley. Number 2 on our list, guys, Dudley Boys. Obviously, Bubba Ray and Devon weren't real brothers, but even before they formed the Dudley Boys, they might as well have been. They each grew up in Long Island, each trained with Johnny Rods, and each got their start in 1991. But when they finally came together, their reign of terror in ECW made them the most revered heels in the sport. When they headed to WWE, they didn't tone down the act that much and still generated a massive amount of heat. Their rise to glory continued throughout TNA, New Japan, and then back again to WWE, where they claimed their rightful place in the Hall of Fame. And last but not least, guys, we touched on Mick Foley before, but we gotta highlight him. 3 characters, 3 royalty checks, countless promotions, where he almost always rise to either main event status or achieve cult-like fandom. The real Mick Foley has an everyman appeal that makes him lovable to all. He's the uncle we all want at family dinners. But in the ring, his brawls were wild, violent, and bloody. But whenever a big name babyface or an up-and-coming heel needed a crazy wrestler to work with, the Micker was there to oblige. Foley is one of the most versatile performers in wrestling and definitely the best wrestler from New York. Now that's saying something when our best wrestler is not a wrestler, he a superstar. I always said mankind is a superstar. that got wrestling talent, but he's definitely a superstar. The writers can make him or break him. His talent not necessarily gonna make him or break him. The writers can make him or break him, but he do got that lovableness about him. He is your typical standard New Yorker. Gritty, hardcore, nothing fancy. So I don't know what WWE needs to do, but they're gonna have to bring somebody in. They're gonna have to bring somebody in. They might even have to run a talent scout out here in New York and find some of these New York wrestling athletes, go to some of these New York wrestling schools. But we're gonna need a homegrown New York hometown hero, man. We're gonna need a homegrown New York hero. Or unless we're gonna get MJF. If we ain't gonna get MJF, we need to start grooming a New York homegrown hero. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Those of you that's from New York, especially, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about this. And if you're from another city, let me know. Should New York, do you New York deserve a hometown hero? I mean, we where it all began. Madison Square Garden is where it all began. All right, guys. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys later.
This is a wreck. He's moving like an uncaged animal.
No lie, he's wild in there.